Alright, and welcome to our last coverage of the NYSL Major 4. Day 4, actually, so final day. Uh, Today, I had notes and stuff written down about Thieves. I had stuff written about NYSL. I will cover these two. Uh, I had stuff covered about this whole tournament. And then I decided to throw it all out the window. Now, I do have some stuff to talk about with the other teams. Real quick before we jump into the NYSL Thieves final, which is what we got. Absurd, crazy. This is by far one of the best. I don't know if like actual venue wise and attendance and overall fan showing like that, including them supporting and all that loudness. I don't know about all that. But this is without a doubt the best competitive major that we've had so far. Without a doubt, I had my bracket literally got destroyed. As you guys may have watched in the last video, I had the Royal Ravens winning this 5-3 to FaZe against FaZe, and the Royal Ravens were out in losers bracket very quickly. They lost their winners and then they lost in the losers right after to LAG. And that majorly surprised me. Breach made a run and then had to they ended up losing. They made a little bit of a run. FaZe ended up losing very quickly as they lost to LA Thieves. So they had to make a losers run. LA Thieves looked so strong. Everything that we have harped them on this entire year. SND, you could tell at times they wanted to go back to their old ways a little bit of being inconsistent, but they stuck on that straight path. And I don't know who it was, but even though Kenny showed out this entire major for the most part, I think Octane was really their driving force. But like I said, we will get to that later. Um, Both Envoy and Draza showed up when they needed to, and that was perfect for this team. But anyways, really quickly to talk about a few of these matches. We don't care about Munir, so we're gonna ignore that. In my opinion, the Breach absolutely did not dominated them in their hardpoint 2. Florida won by 100 in their hardpoint 1, so that was a back and forth in hard points. SND won, Florida won. Finally win a Desert Siege. Actually, you know what? Florida was the one that made the run, not Breach. I'm sorry. But they ended up losing very quickly to, I think it was LAT. Or no. It was NYSL. Now that I'm thinking about it, NYSL gets a fucking reverse sweep. I'm gonna cover these really quickly. I didn't write anything else down for that actually. I just said NYSL reverse sweep. I guess I missed it. Oh yeah, because I was at work on that day. On Thursday, I was at work. LAT destroy Thieves in their first matchup. LAT runs away with the hard point. LAT upset in SND. Crazy. FaZe take close control, but LAT dominate in the hard point. It was like no matter what FaZe did, they couldn't get the breaks or anything like that. That they got that they rely on consistently. And then I have written here on Thursday, my bracket is chalked. Day 2, LAG and London, we don't care. LAG ended up upsetting London. Slasher was a key player in that, though. But this is out of order. Paris ended up versing FaZe in the losers. One thing to note on really quickly, I know I said these are out of order, but the London match, when it comes to London itself, they played very scared on S&D, and they end up losing it because of that. It came down to a game 5 on the control, and I think that was one of the first matches where it was one of the first times that a team has gotten A but lost. That's an actual statistic. So yeah, back to the Paris FaZe one. FaZe looked very what's the word I'm looking for? Weak in a sense. Paris almost had them. They brought it to a 3-2 phase. FaZe still had major problems to solve when it comes to that. And as much as I'm going to talk about this later, FaZe did solve it in one of their matches. But they came right back around when they played the LAT game again because they didn't make it that far. Boston faced Surge. Nothing much to talk about there. Optic versus Minnesota. Optic on top. Minnesota ended up winning the hard point, but it was brought to another round 5, which was the scary thing overall. We don't like to see that. FaZe ended up 3-0ing LAG. Day 3, we had an Optic breach. Optic ended up winning. Optic still are playing. The one problem with Optic in this is that Optic still are playing around the hard point. They're not, as I was saying, I was going by this really quickly. Optic versus Breach. Optic still are playing around the point and not getting in. It's their biggest problem, and it's one thing that they changed against FaZe in their matchup was they were getting on the point. They were trying to get the fights on it, and that's what they need to do consistently. I feel like I don't know if that's a strategy that they need to use for FaZe and have one guy hold the point. I don't know. It seems like it would work, especially with how FaZe runs their stuff. But when it comes to these weaker teams like Breach, it's just not gonna help them. It's not gonna help them in the long run. They need to get on those points, make those fights. Otherwise, they're just gonna lose their hard points continuously. For FaZe, I have no clue. It almost in my mindset that seems like a setup that they were gonna do for FaZe, but I guess they changed it because that's not what they did at all. Boston win because of Optic's lack of ability to get on the hill on that hard point. S&D Optic play patient. They end up winning that, I think. Breach have a perfect round 1 on control. Blah blah blah. It's control. Optic. In the end, Optic ended up winning this, and I stopped taking notes after a bit. Optic ended up winning 3-1. Thieves versus Ultra. It was a close match on hard point. Very back and forth. Nothing I can complain about on either team's front. They just played out of their minds. Thieves ended up starting strong on their S&D. Thieves, and I write it here. It ends up being a 6-0. Thieves. LAT could do nothing wrong against that team right there. It was ridiculous watching that matchup and seeing how they were just able to basically play with Ultra in a sense on that winner's bracket. No matter what, it seems like they were discombobulated, and the commentators actually in that said that the Thieves seemed very fast with their comms and very wild, and Ultra seemed very calm and relaxed, and that's fine for when they were, but I actually think you can hear the distinction. The more I hear LAT's listen-ins, you can hear the distinction because they always talk fast when they're in their listen-ins, but you can hear the distinction of how they're calming and what they're talking about. But they all grab the information, and that was absolutely shown in this tournament, that their comms were improved, their teamwork was improved. Just overall, listening to the comms, you saw plenty of times where players were able to make a move just based on a comm. Turn to the left, that's where the player just died from. Okay, where's the comm coming from? Oh, he's wrapping from field back to our OG spawn behind us on P3. Perfect, right there. Like, stuff like that. I don't know if that actually happened, for instance, but for instance, that is exactly what it seemed like. LAT was grabbing the information. They were reactionary to everything. NYSL versus Florida. This is what we were waiting for. This is what we need to find out. NYSL, insane through P4 to P1. Florida can't keep up. Keep a hold. P5. Florida keeps full 60, but NYSL win P1 rotation. Ended up winning that. I don't even need to talk about this. Overall, it is what it is. NYSL made a major win. It had a major win against this Florida team. And Major ends up trolling in this game on the control, and just Crimsix could not be stopped in that series at all. He ended up having a 1.32 versus Florida, and that was the most insane game I've seen from Crim in a long time. Amazing play out of him. Optic versus Ultra. It was a very close win. Optic win round 5 again. Absolutely absurd. Again, Ultra, it was a close game on both ends. Ultra kind of trolled on some of their matches, or matchups at times. FaZe versus Florida. I mean, do we really need to talk about this? FaZe just destroys Florida and is able to keep the NYSL champ hopes alive. Finals NYSL, and I skipped the first 2 matches, so the Thieves versus FaZe again, and I skipped the Optic versus FaZe, and the NYSL Thieves first matchup, I think, correct? Yes, I did. In the first matchup, NYSL versus Thieves, it looked like NYSL had it. They were running away with it. It seemed like there was nothing that could have been done by the squad that could have stopped them. Optic just cannot beat FaZe at all in that matchup. FaZe had their way. They were getting their breaks on control and on hard point. It is what it is. Optic need to come back and be a little bit stronger on their respawn point. S&D, they have them, though, in that. We're going to get to the actual finals, though. And to start... Oh, and FaZe looked lackluster again against Thieves. It looked like everything that they improved in the Optic match, that they went backwards and lost when they went into the Thieves matchup. I don't know what it is. By top 3, it almost seems like they are vulnerable and they lose their gas every single time. I don't know what it is. But now that we're finally into this match after 12 minutes in, I'm going to show you guys the intro to this real quick and show you this amazing walkout by NYSL. If it will play. Yep.
Team, make some noise for your subliners.
A little bit of screen tearing, but look at the, they got the security, Crim6 with Crim7 coming out here, and Crim6 is actually going to bring your boy Crim7 to the finals. He's bringing him over to the finals, and that is absurd in my opinion. That is happening. Absolutely crazy. This was crazy. This whole event for this team. Anyways, to skip past this, we're gonna get into the match now. And well, I guess skipped quite a bit. But as you could see on the first actually I didn't skip a lot. I just thought I skipped the entire HP, and that was the S&D. On the first one, I mean, it is what it is. This is where I stopped taking notes. I threw everything out of the gutter and out of my notes and stopped talking about it. Like, everything that I knew going into this matchup throughout this entire tournament was flipped on its head. Optic had FaZe beat on respawns, and FaZe had the S&D. That flips. And it is what it is. That completely changes. FaZe dominant on the respawns, dominant in S&D now. That is my thought process when it comes to all these other teams. No, they can't get it fucking done against LAT. The worst S&D, one of the worst S&D teams in the league this year. Absolutely the worst, and they can't get it done against LAT. LAT looked phenomenal through this entire matchup, and it was crazy to see just how impactful Octane was to this team. And you would have thought that it would have been Envoy in this, or Draza instead, because Octane has been so iffy. Octane is, in my opinion, if Octane isn't going, there is no momentum to get Kenny going. That is the one thing that I feel like I've noticed, is if Octane isn't going, putting himself in the right spots, Kenny isn't going. And that's what does not help Kenny. And I think it definitely does have to do with the fact that there has been a role change on this team, and that Kenny is now a sub. and that Draza is the AR is what it is. They keep swapping, which is fine. Allow it to happen. But Kenny has been primarily on the sub over Draza in these situations. And I think that's what needs to be done. When it comes to the Gorillas, I thought they had the phase number as well. But they just didn't. This entire week flipped everything in my head. Flipped everything that I had in my head going into this upside down. Royal Ravens. Also, we got a Prime Gaming sponsorship. Makes no sense while we're streaming on Twitch. Ravens looked iffy. They looked vulnerable a lot. But we're not here to talk about this. We're here to talk about this finals and talk about what this means in the end. We will talk about all those teams towards the end. We have a listen in here. I mean, we can listen to it real quick. Hear the comms. I don't mind.
Over towards second. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. This listening is chopped, actually, because they couldn't get the audio to work multiple times. I forgot this one was no good. It is what it is, though. But anyways, these teams just went... I went into this matchup like, this does not look good for LA Thieves. NYSL had their way with them, practically. Krim is going to come out. Kismet is going to do Kismet things against his team again. Hydra is going to do Hydra things, but, like, Hydra kind of didn't show up in the first hardpoint. Which kind of left this a little scary in the end. But NYSL ended up winning it, which really threw me off. Hydra wasn't even their big guy. It was Kismet. And Kismet's on a 1-year deal. I swear, at least I think, I swear if Kismet or Paul X does not get picked up, that this is an absolute flop by any team that does not grab him. And I cannot put into words this series, what this means for both teams. These were two of a lot of people's minds. At least for me, I thought Paris was eventually going to pick it up. Then they made the switch and everything kept going downhill. I felt bad for Temp. I legit thought the 3 teams that weren't going to make it was Thieves, Subliners, Paris, and then if I had to add the 4th, it was going to be Florida. Just based on how the year was going, that's what it seemed like. But Florida was in it more than your COD champs for Major 2, your LAG squad. They were more in it than them, and that's absolutely crazy to believe. But yeah, these teams improved heavily. Paris not being one of those, though. Mutineers, despite keeping a 3-man roster, made it work throughout the entire year. Even though they didn't make it, it's something to look on. Like, hey, we have some stars here. Let's work on it. Let's improve. We're already a good squad. You need a second AR along that team. Awakening put out a tweet that you really think I want to be running a sub. What does that mean? Who has you stuck in that situation, having you run a sub? Also, this was absurd. We're going to watch this. Like, this was crazy here. And I cannot believe that this even was able... I didn't know this was a spot. You're about to see it in a few seconds. Kenny gets an insane gunny here on both Pollux and Krim. Like, I was like, what is Kismet doing? What is Kismet doing? Envoy just getting shot through the stairs. I didn't know you could shoot through that. Gets the kill on the Kenny. Wins the round for the subliners. Just some absurd play. Look at him. Look at the Bulldog himself. Enjoying himself. Having a good time. We're going to skip this round. Keep it going. Keep it on the pace. But, like I was saying, like, this... I didn't even have NYSL winning this. I didn't think that they were going to make the run because of their struggles online before. And they proved me wrong again. They made it all the way to finals. Like, what? And LAT was in risk of not making it in the champs. And they made this run to do it. Like, it was crazy to see that. Ultra able to clinch a spot as well within the top 6. And that's great and all. They still have stuff to improve on. Like the runs that could have been made are absurd. And the Thieves run, crazy because of the fact of like what they had to go through all the year, throughout the entire year, with the struggles that they were having. Even though they were able to make continuous top 8, it was scary for this team at times, because you had the Floridas, you had the LAGs, you had what was the fourth team that missed out? Wow. I know Paris was not even relatively close. But anyways, the point is like, this is a major upgrade. And Octane, I'm telling you, this team runs through Kenny and Octane. It does not run through Envoy and Draza. Draza and Envoy are just meshing pieces to this team. If Octane and Kenny are on the same page, they are gonna do well. This team is gonna win. And that was just shown continuously. Octane making these plays like he is the best man on the team. And just, like, I don't even know how Octane was just able to pick it up. And no matter like, they were down this, and they were still able to be in high spirits, the LAT side. And Kenny was still smiling and everything. This team was just happy to make it to finals, it seemed like. And that was crazy to see, that this team, no matter what their disadvantage was, they were able to keep their spirits high and continue to work with each other, be on the same page. It wasn't like this was a runaway for NYSL for the first 2 matches. It was still a really tight-knit game. But, like, it's crazy. Absolute absurdity how close this game was. We're going to skip this control. I mean, it's control. LAT ended up winning it. Is what it is. They ended up 3-0ing it. We move on to the hard point. And, I mean, there were some times where you saw some weird stuff happening from both sides of these teams. They were in the finals. They were both trying to do what they can. Hydra just seemed off today. Crim wasn't having a great series here, and I think that's what led to the NYSL downfall. But they can have those games, and they continue to work together and mesh and bring the best out of each other to make this run happen. So I will not put it against them that they ended up winning like a few games in the finals. I wouldn't put it past them. LAT, I wouldn't put it past them either, but every single time that someone has won, there has always been a different champion. So, and they've always fallen off the face of the earth, or not necessarily the face of the earth, but at least top 6, top 8, because you had Optic, you had LAG for a little bit, and you have Seattle still sitting in the top 6, so, or top 8. So, it just is what it is. I just hope this team is able to continuously bring in Octane and Kenny are able to stay on the same page and keep this game going. Keep this team going, I mean to say. And to see that this team just is flowing with the match. Like, it's like they actually have finally figured it out. And that is a good sign from this team, because I thought for a little bit that Envoy, based on what I've seen, based on the Cold War season, that Envoy was the issue. Not saying that he was a quote-unquote team issue when it came to like normal, like, locker room issue stuff. Easiest way of putting it. Like, I didn't think he was an issue in that sense. What I thought was the issue was the play style, and it just wasn't meshing, and they were being put into situations because of Envoy's play style, and it just was not working or flowing. That's what I thought the issue was, not necessarily his personality meshing with the team. Because it's obvious to tell that Octane, Draza, and Kenny all fit the personality style of Envoy. It's the play style that I was concerned about, and it was proven wrong in this, that it just is not the case. whether or not Envoy played good or not. Like, he had his struggles at times on Search, but he picked it up also at times. It just, this team does not rely on Envoy, and they do not rely on the fact of this team trying to make it work with that problem. We got a listening coming in right now.
Man, you can hear it in the com.
I'm, as he was about to say, like, you can hear it. They're all on the same page. They're all communicating. They're all hearing each other. They're making the plays based on the comms. And they're just continuously pushing it and pushing it to another level. And this team has majorly improved. Draza played really good as well in this entire series. Like, I will take almost neutral and time. As long as you're putting your team in the right situation, that's what matters in the end. Like, your play on where you are matters just as much as your kills and time. So, that was great to see on all of their parts, because they were all doing that. They were all making the heads-up plays. We're actually going to move over to the this Bocage SND, and I don't really have much to say about it. It was very, very close. It was a very good game overall. Some people wouldn't say it's close, but I will say it's close. This matchup just was very much back and forth. LAT had it at the beginning for the first round, and that was good to see from this team. They tried their best on Search, is what it is. NYSL just pushing the pedal down, though, after Thieves get this round 3 win. And it's just nothing could be said about either of these teams' plays here. They all tried their best, but both NYSL was able to just have the counters when needed, no matter what. Kismet coming up big for this team many times on the Search. Hydra actually had a good Search game here. But Kismet, no matter what, just came up big for this team on S&D. It was like he was a... He was... It's just the way of putting it. He seems like Celium on the fucking... Like, on the map. Like, he was so hard to kill in these searches. And that was absurd to see, because it's like, it's Kismet. What are you expecting? But, like, Kismet has shown that he is a problem on these maps. He is a problem in this game, and he needs to be taken care of. Krim able to clutch up there. Now, this, I think, is... Yeah, this is the round that I want to talk about. I say it's close because right now they're down by 2. It's not like a big problem. Kiz 6-5. Draza gets killed on top. And Envoy gets kill on site. Gets kill on Kismet. It's not this one, actually. It is the next one, because LAT is able to win. And they bring it to 5-4. And I still think this is close. I will still say this is close. I'll stick by my guns on that. This isn't the problem. The problem is this. You're about to see it. Paulex is aware that something is going on. That they're around, they're close. That's fine. The problem is this. That right there is the problem. Envoy makes the play. Now, I'm not saying Envoy made a bad play here before you come at my neck. That is not what I'm saying here. Envoy made a great play. Octane has now made Paulex go away. Envoy is getting this kill. If this animation doesn't happen, what is that? And I don't care. I don't care. I like the commentators. I like the commentators on this one. One of them said, and I can't remember the names because I struggle with names. I think it was Chance, or is Chance the one with the hairdo? I don't remember. Either way, he said he got too confident on the YY, thinking that he had the kill there, but too many YYs costed them the round. I get it. You have to move past it.
I think Envoy just got caught YYing. Maybe thought he finished the kill with the pistol and stopped shooting. Maybe 17 different things went.
Like, what do you mean? Do you think he just got caught YYing? He wasn't going to get the kill with one pistol shot, and he hit him a second time. Like, that's an absolutely ridiculous commentary by him. I think that's ridiculous. You don't say that. That is something that should not have came out of his mouth. That was obvious, no matter who it came from, that was either a weapon swap glitch, which maybe he had, maybe he did. Maybe he did weapon swap. Maybe he did YY. But then it continued to happen. It wasn't like he just continued to do it. You could tell after each bullet it was stopping. That's not a normal animation that happens. Just that YY after a pistol shot. That's not normal. It seemed like the animation was still trying to do the ladder animation, as if you're going up and then you like reach and then you put your pistol out. That's what it looked like it was doing. I like these guys a lot. But like, you need to make better commentary. You need to make better commentary. You need to make it better. It is what it is. I don't know how you come to that conclusion. I don't think anything was come from the background now looking at it. I think he just made a boneheaded call there. And I think that was absolutely wrong by him to do. You're doing the LAT side a injustice, and I don't think you should be saying something like that when it comes down to a glitch. They refused to replay that round because of that. Envoy had some problems with his headset, I think, in this S&D here. Yeah, they requested a timeout. He had a couple of issues with his headset, is what it is. But despite Envoy having his issues with his headset, LAT just prospers no matter the amount of timeouts. They had to do it a second time. LAT just continued to go up and catch some dubs for this team. Catch some dubs on the search side. Very back and very much. There was no contesting at all. LAT allowed one round win, I think. As much as NYSL tried, LAT just played with each other, played hard, and weren't giving up anything. This was the NYSL win right here, and after that, it's just smooth sailing for this LAT squad. Still catching more dubs on the search side, prospering, and a major improvement from everything that we saw. And LAT, actually, I'm just going to break it to you, are our major 4 winners. They did not let off the gas pedal after search. They went up major in the hard point here. Coming down to the last bit here. NYSL trying to fight, trying to get this time, trying to bring it back, and they kind of do. They kind of do. I'm not going to lie. They kind of do here. They're able to bring it back to at least 150. 160 is where we were at on the P3 hill. And 162. But Thieves will not be denied at all on this P3. Look at this. Breaking in. Look at Drew. And there's actually a statistic. Now, it was slightly broken every single time Draza flexes at an event. Some magic happens. And some magic happened. Octane called it too on Twitter. And they made the magic happen. Absurd play from this LAT squad. And I cannot believe that they did it. I love watching all of these players. I love seeing how they've come up into the league. Envoy is still a fan favorite of mine. He's still a favorite of mine. Kenny, a great personality. Love the guy. Octane, great. I don't know what it is about Octane. I don't have much, like, memory of Octane, but he's such a character for me that I like. And I can't get it. Octane is by far one of my favorite players. Draza is just Draza. It is what it is. This team happy as ever to win this. And I mean, to look at this right now, this. Oh yeah, Minnesota was the other team that got knocked out. To look at this is crazy. I cannot tell you who is going to win this at all. At all. I cannot. Um, this is gonna be close. This is our championship weekend, and I don't want to make a prediction, but I'm going to because it is my job. I'm gonna have to. Like I said, I would have done better on the commentary and stuff if and like following up with this if every single match, everything that I said didn't get flown out the window. Uh, it almost made what I was gonna say irrelevant. But yeah. So we got FaZe versus Sub. We have Ravens versus Surge. We got Optic versus Ultra. The nice thing about this is they're all different letters, except for Surge and Subliners. So, T versus Breach. And they all start in winners, obviously, as you could see. So that's good, because everyone gets 2 losses in the championship. So, that I like. We're just going to start. I don't know what matches first, but I'm going to start off with the FaZe versus Subliners. And I'm afraid for Subliners versus FaZe. So I'm actually going to say that FaZe comes out on top here and ends up winning that. I think Subliners have just struggled too many times against FaZe. Although Thieves have done the same and they just majorly improved. So take that with a grain of salt. So Subliners are going to losers. Ravens versus Surge. If Mac and Pred are able to pick it up, if the guys are able to pick it up, and Pred is supposed to be is able to stay on his high, like as high as he's going, I see this team making a huge run. Oh, I think they could, with the team playing the way that they did in Major 4, I think they could be damn near close better than the Ravens on how we were watching them online. But I'm gonna give it to Ravens. I'm gonna say that the Surge are just not gonna bring it in and win it. Optic versus Ultra. I'm gonna give it to Optic again. And yes, this is a bit of fan bias, but this is also a bit of the fact that we saw what happened, and Ultra has been struggling all year, and it looked like Optic made an improvement to be top 4. Based on that information, I'm not gonna give it to Ultra. I think it's close. I think it's gonna be a 3-2 Optic, but other than that, I think Ultra gets dropped down to the losers. I gotta put Surge here, Ultra here. LAT versus Breach. I'm giving it to LAT. I mean that's just obvious that was gonna go LAT. That's a no-brainer situation. Now, because next would be losers, I'm gonna give it to Subliners versus Surge. So Surge, get out. That's supposed to be Sub. There we go. Sub. Then I'm gonna give it to Ultra. Then next, so they are out of the tournament. Breach and Surge. Next, we have to do FaZe versus Ravens. Optic versus LAT. I'm gonna give it to. Gonna give the FaZe. I'm gonna give it to LAT. Yes, I think Optic is gonna get dropped down to face Ultra again. And Subliners are gonna play the Ravens. I think Subliners beat the Ravens. And Optic beat Ultra again. Again, I just can't get over that hump that something is wrong with the Ultra camp. I cannot tell you what it is, but there's something wrong with that camp. All right, so we got, if I have this correct, FaZe versus LAT, then Sub versus Optic. I'm gonna give it to FaZe got 3-1 by LAT, I think, both times. FaZe did get over the Optic hump, though. That is tough. I think I'm still going to give to LAT. I think LAT makes it to your championship finals. Wow, I cannot believe I'm saying this. They just looked so dominant, but are they going to be on the same page again? I bet for FaZe last time, didn't I? I bet on FaZe winning. Did I not? Yeah, I had FaZe going. No, I had them going to a. Oh, I had them going to losers. Actually, FaZe versus Optic was the only thing I think I had correct on this. Yeah, FaZe versus Optic was the only thing I had in my bracket last time. And FaZe winning that, but besides that, Subliners versus Optic. So then it's FaZe versus. I think Optic comes up short. That's me being a fan and being honest. I think Optic comes up short and they face Sub. FaZe beat them. They face LAT. Does FaZe finally get it clicking? I can't bet against FaZe. I can't. I can't bet against them that they get it clicking. FaZe is gonna win your championship. I think the problem with both FaZe and LAT is that, and LAT more until recently, that they can't get on the same page and get the right momentum, and they cannot, they just can't get on the same page. They cannot get what they need to find. They can't find the kills when needed at times. They can't stay alive for each other based on their callouts based on what you watch. It seems like even based on the callouts, they aren't able to make the right plays, which speaks to me that they're not on the same page at some point, or they're somehow making some bad plays in that. But LIT struggles all the way through most of the time. But this event they showed up and were on the same page. And I think that's the thing that has been happening for most teams, is that their player isn't showing up. Like Optic, obviously what happened with Illy is what happened with Illy, but even before then, it just seemed like either they weren't on the same page or players just weren't showing up and getting the kills that they needed. LAG, they were all on the same page. That's what that was. And they were all getting their gunnies. And then once you get to the Surge one, every player performed. They've probably all been on the same page before. They definitely have from previous matches that we've seen, but they're like plays that they make now as like player to player and their kills have showed up in that match. It's about if Kenny and Octane show up on this one. Do I be bold and give it to LAT, or do I just not bet against FaZe? You can't predict this year, so I'm going to leave, actually, this to be determined. Now, I have to pick now. And then I will continue changing as we go. Next week for champs, I'm going to be a little bit more on top of... I'm going to be on top of the day before the final day, and then the final day itself. I'm going to end it, and I'm going to make a bold prediction here. I cannot believe I'm doing this. I'm giving it to LAT. Champs. There you go. LA Thieves are your champs. Have a Merry Christmas. Enjoy. I don't know why I do that. But yeah, Some great play out of all these teams. There's no predicting this championship right now. I think this is the hardest one. I think the easiest was Breach to predict being out. But yeah, I'll see you guys champs weekend. All right, have a good one. Peace.